Yes, I will.
Okay.
Okay, let's pray. Father, we just want to thank you, Lord, for yet another opportunity, Lord, where we get to come before you. We get to come together as a family, seeking to learn from you, Lord. Father, we come here because, Lord, we see the need for us to obey your precepts, to obey what you have instructed us to do, Lord. Father, we pray that our coming here will be a means of just closer to thee, so that we will learn how you want us to go forward in this time, Lord. Be with us even now. Be with the equipment, be with every single person here, Lord. Keep us attentive. Help us to learn and to become more like you. Just my prayer. Amen.
Amen, amen, amen. All right. So let us start by first introducing ourselves. Okay. We are Narrowway Life. We're my husband is Lincoln Casabo, and I am Mitra Casabo. Yes. All right. So let us dive right in to our seminar this evening. So we are going to be going through tonight who we are, country living and its origin, what do we do, especially as a ministry, the problems that we have noticed, the solutions that God has impressed upon our hearts need to be done.
What to consider in a property.
Yes. So when you're going searching, what you actually consider in that property and what's coming up next. So I know everybody is going to be super excited to find out what is coming up next after this particular presentation. So you're going to learn a little bit later what is coming up next. All right?
That's good.
All right. So who are we? That might be the first question on many persons' mind this evening. We are a Caribbean-based ministry.
From Tunisia.
Yes, we are.
That's in the Caribbean, for those who do not know.
Our mission was born from our love for nature, studying the word of God and taking people into nature for camping, hiking, prayer retreats, for drawing closer to God. This is our mission, and we loved it. Whether it be young people or older folks, we just enjoyed taking persons into nature. As we continued to make ourselves available to God, what he did was he took us country living off the grid. We have seen the importance of character building, God's 8 laws of health, and his ideal lifestyle.
Yes, we have.
Our desire is to facilitate the observation of these natural laws, to learn from it about the God who created it and his purpose for our lives. This will facilitate the restoration of our spiritual, physical, and emotional health. And this is our aim, and this is what we seek to do. So let's start with a little bit about what is country living. I know many of us already know, but I love to start there. Yeah. What is the origin of it?
Yes, I think that's the foundation. Let's just lay the foundation before we go into all of the technical stuff in the future.
Yes.
Let's just know what we're building on. Okay. So, if you it's on the screen, so I guess you don't have to necessarily turn it. But if we go to Genesis chapter 8, verse 8 to 10, the Bible says, "And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, that is good for food, and the tree of life in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads." So what comes out to me right away, Mitchell, is that God planted a garden.
Yes.
God had already called things into existence. However, you see, God is taking some time to do some if you want to call it agriculture.
Wow.
Okay, we'll say agriculture for now. We'll get there. So then God is taking his time and he's planting a garden. He's giving us an example of even how to grow a garden. But what we want to look at for now is the fact that God put us in a garden. And that was the very first thing he did. And it wasn't by chance. It wasn't a mistake. It was his plan.
Wow. So our original home was a garden.
Yes.
It had trees.
Food.
It had a river.
Some of the trees just look good, pleasant to the sight.
Yeah. So we can see that God originally wanted us in a garden. One of the things that I've learned from reading the Bible, especially from Genesis 27, verse 20 and verse 28, is that God blessed our parents and he said, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And that is the word I want everybody to focus on. Replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowls of the air and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.
All right. So really, it doesn't matter what religion you attend, where you live, how old you are, how many children you have, it doesn't matter. God's plan originally was for that us, his children, well, everyone, to live in nature and that they would fill the earth. So that is to spread out, right?
Yep.
So yes, so that God wanted us to live not clustered together, but spread out over the earth and subdue it. Okay. Take care of it.
So this was God's original plan. He put us in a garden and then he wanted us to spread and replenish. So let's go to Genesis 11, verse 4 to 8 to see what really happened there. God wanted us to spread out, but let's see what we did after some time.
Okay. So, well, we're jumping in time. So we're now looking at the time after the flood.
Okay.
Okay, so after the flood, Genesis 11, verse 4 says, and they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, which top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the earth. Shall I continue? Or you want to stop there?
Okay, go ahead.
And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men built. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound the language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of the earth, and they left off to build a city.
Okay.
So initially, God wanted us to be in the country, in nature, scattered, right? And now we're seeing that after the flood, the reason why we got this bad is because we didn't obey God.
Okay.
After the flood, we're going back to our old habits, and they came together and said, let us build a city, lest we be scattered. Okay. God comes in and scatters them. And in verse 8, we see, and they left off to build a city.
Oh, wow. So they knew that God's original desire was for them to spread out, but they chose to go against it.
Yes.
And then God had to come in verse 8 and say, we have to scatter this.
And then in verse, God came in verse 6 and said, let's scatter them, I think. And in verse 8, they were back together building a city.
Well, so the Lord scattered them abroad from hence.
In verse 8, sorry, I didn't say that. Yes.
So in verse 8, we see that God had to scatter them just because they were going against his original plan. So I want us to look at this picture for a little while. Which photo in there lets you see or lets you know that which is the best or which is God's original plan? Which one?
Based on what you've studied so far, isn't it?
Yes, based on what you've learned so far, which one looks like God's original plan of spreading out?
Okay, let me slow down. I don't want to make a rush decision.
Okay.
I'll take my time, love. Okay. So if I look at the picture on the left, that is this side, right? My left, I see lights. I see like they're really making an effort to consume the resources of the earth. Okay. And on the right, I see like almost like what Eden would have been. The second picture. Some persons are saying the second picture. Let me know in the chat which one looks like God's original plan of spreading out. The one on the right. Okay, the one on the right. That is the one I looked at, and it does look like spreading out to me. Some persons make it seem like that it's so clear-cut. I'm really looking at this. I really want to take my time to make the right decision. This is the left, or is it the right? I think they're right, you know. Yes. I think they're right. Very good. Somebody's saying that the left looks man-made, and I totally agree. Yeah, I think they're right. Does look, oh, thank you, everyone. The right. Okay, everybody's saying the right. So this is the one that looks closer to God's original, what God would have wanted us to have, to spread out, to have the view of a garden as we saw. I can only imagine how the bees would love those flowers on the ground. Exactly. Yes. So these people don't have problem pollinating their fruits. Not at all. All right. So more and more, as time advances, our people will have to leave the cities. I beg your pardon. We will have to. Is that not a choice that anybody can make, and some can go and some can stay out? More and more, or as time advances, our people will have to leave the cities. For years, we have been instructed that our brethren and sisters, and especially families with children, should plan to leave the cities as the way opens before them to do so. So I love that last part. As the way opens for families to do so. Many will have to labor earnestly to help open the way. Now, one of the things that we have noticed as we have been country living ourselves for 7 years and enjoying nature for more than 17 years now. We love nature individually. Right before we were dating, we just loved the hiking and camping. Nature brought us together. Yes. Yeah. So one of the things that we have noticed in spending time with nature, that there are some issues preventing persons from necessarily going into nature and enjoying nature as they would have wanted to. So let's go through some of those problems that we notice, and then we're going to look at some solutions and where we as a ministry come in. So the problems. One of the things that we've noticed as it pertains to country living, especially working with families, there sometimes is a lack of resources, preventing persons from being comfortable enough to move out into the country. So after living in the city for many years, some persons, it is just too intimidating to go into the country, especially if you do not have the hands-on skills. Yeah, you don't know how to build or farm. Fear of being alone. This is also something that can cause persons to shy away from moving out into the country. I fear of the unknown. Yes, the fear of the unknown. Yes, some people are afraid of nature. They believe every branch you cross, every river you go into, there's something ready to kill you. And we also notice that with Lot. When Lot was asked to go out into the country, there was a lack of confidence in the angel. There was a lack of confidence in the angel. Lot did not want to go. Lack of resources. So first we saw a lack of skill, and then we saw a lack of resources. So many don't have the upfront cash or the tools up front to move out into the country. Some may even not know where to start. Some people say they have no land in the country that they can move on to. Yeah. Inability to see the land potential. Some of us have looked at properties, many properties, and just none of them seem to fit what we would like in a property. And it's so difficult sometimes for us to see what the property that we're looking at can be. There are still persons who already have property and think that that property is not good enough. It's just not good enough. Yeah, it's just missing something. Yes.
So there we see all of those things can prevent persons from moving out into the country. There's also the issue of land being too expensive. So most of us are looking for a house and land, but sometimes it is too expensive to find. In St. Lucia, for sure it is. I know some friends of mine was telling me in the UK, it was also difficult to get a piece of country land for a reasonable price.
The UK,
yes. So all of these things have to be considered. But let me tell you, even though some of these problems are some of the things that you are going through, let me give you some encouragement from James 1 and verse 5. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. So we don't have to worry about not having the wisdom, not having all of the resources to move forward. God said, ask of him, and he will provide those things. In Philippians 4 verse 6, we see that we should not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and the petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. So even though you find yourself in one of those brackets of the issues that we found, we know that we are not alone, that we can ask God. So what do we do?
I believe if God has instructed us to do something, he will provide for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're about to share with you what we do as a ministry as it pertains to country living to help each and every family know exactly what to do in their country as it pertains to solving that country living issue.
Okay. Yeah,
okay. All right.
Thanks.
So the solution. So what is the solution what is the solution to all of these problems? Has God left us without? No, he hasn't. And one of the most beautiful things that I've loved about what he has done, he impressed upon our hearts to be part of the solution to many of those problems.
Because the quotation we read earlier said that some will have to labor earnestly.
Yes.
Remember that part?
Yes.
Yes. So then we said, you know what?
Lord,
pick me.
Pick me.
we
know how to work, Lord. Use us. Use us. And this is what we have been asking God to do. And we have said, yes, Lord, we are ready to be used by you. So this is what we have decided. Where there is a lack of skill, we want to provide outdoor recreational activities and country living skills to help persons get more comfortable in nature.
And we'll share more about that in the testimony a couple of days from
yes,
now.
We will be sharing it in our testimony.
Yeah.
So the recreational activities, like example, camping and hiking, yes, it doesn't seem to have anything to do with country living, but it gets you into nature and more comfortable in nature. Right. And the more confidence you get in nature, the more possible it will seem to actually go out and move there.
I think the other thing it provides an opportunity to meet persons who are already into nature.
Yes.
And with them as friends, we learn from each other, we share skills, and we grow. I've grown a lot being around those guys, those friends of mine. I'm gonna name names.
Yes.
Those friends of mine who are into nature. They believe they learn from me, but I've learned a lot from them, trust me.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
What we have also sought to do, where we see there is a fear of being alone, we have sought to help families locate into the country and not necessarily alone, but to get land together. So to buy land together, sorry. So whether it be a 10-acre lot, a 15-acre lot, a 20-acre lot, cut into maybe 5 lots, when families come together to purchase it and partition after, so each family would have their own individual deed, it is very good to know that there are like-minded persons around you for a shoulder to lean on, or for skills that you may not necessarily have. So this is one area that we have noticed is a good help, especially when it comes to the elderly and single parents or single moms. This can be a great help. And especially for those who may not think they have the necessary skills to go out into the country, it is comforting to know that you're not alone, that 2 free acres down the road is a farmer or is a medical missionary.
Yeah, or is a brother or sister.
Or brother or sister that can lend a hand at some point. Yes. So this is one of the things that we do. We help family pair together. So whether it be you already have your country living location and you saying,
I don't want to be there by myself.
I don't want to be there by myself. Yeah. We also help try to locate families around that particular property so that there is a feeling of community and consistent. Yes. Yes.
Working on projects and stuff like that.
Yes. So this is one of the aspects we encourage. And this is why we're creating a network so that persons would be able to do those have those necessary persons around them so that they can feel comfortable and they don't feel alone. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to put the link in the chat so that persons who want to ask questions can get an opportunity to do so. So I'm going to post the link in the chat so you could use this link and you just get to click on it and you type in your question and you send it over. Sorry for not sending it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, because it's not always possible to scroll through the chat to see all the questions. So
just use the link above and then you can get to answer them.
That's okay.
Yeah, we're going to get to see all those questions and we're going to have them answered. Another thing that we have noticed when it comes to the solutions that God has impressed upon our hearts is some persons don't have the ability to see the potential of land. Persons just don't have the ability to see the potential of land.
That is so true.
Yes.
That is so true. Some people see, I told my friends that I often say when people go into nature, some people simply see green and brown. That's all. Tell them, did you notice this tree? Did you not? No. So then they may not necessarily have the skills to see, hey, what this can be. When I go and look for country land, I really look at the topography. Okay. I look at it, well, we'll get to that point. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that part. Don't run ahead. So some persons don't see. So sometimes if they're getting a really good piece of land and it's at a very reasonable cost, they're like, oh, this is just full of bush. I can't do anything with this. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And sometimes persons get really overwhelmed. So this is one of the reasons why we step in to help families with our consultations to see a little bit more of what they can do and their potential of their land, to see the drawbacks and maybe even the cost of what it would take to develop that particular piece of land. Okay. We also see that land and houses can be too expensive in some places. And for this, we offer 3D house designs so that persons can see what they can use as a template for their country living home at a reduced price of the normal houses in the area.
Yes.
So you want to say something? Okay. All right. So now we're going to jump right in. And I know this is where all the questions are going to be. We're going to jump right in. So now you know a little bit about what we do as a ministry, who we are. Now we're going to go into what to consider while on your property search. So you're out with the real estate agent, you're out with the owner, and you're just looking around to find out, what am I even looking for?
I like your picture of the guy scratching his head like, wait a minute. Okay, what am I looking for now?
Where am I? I asked for country, but
what's this? Okay. All right. So what am I looking for? I like that.
Okay, so this is where we're going in right now. So, but we're gonna take a little pause and we're gonna be asking. You can always share in the chat, where are you coming from?
And what time is it? Somewhere just say good morning.
Yeah, so you can share with us where you're coming from so we can know exactly what country living area you will be looking at. We're from the Caribbean, from St. Lucia, so you can feel free to share in the chat, where are you logging in from, so we know exactly how to. Oh, wow.
And what you guys can look out for, if you find that somebody that is from your area that is in the meeting, it's good to meet up with them.
Yeah.
So together you guys can go through the seminar, you can connect, and maybe if the Lord allows you all to come together to do something, then you will have necessary information.
Oh, wow, South Africa. Wow, St. Lucia, nice. We're having people from all over
Malaysia.
Nice, thanks.
Guys,
you'll be moving to Georgia. All right, that's great.
How amazing this is that despite the world is in corona and lockdown, where we kind of have curfew, that we can still meet and we can share the word of God and we can learn from each other and we could still bond. It's like this thing didn't take God by surprise at all. He still provided for us to be able to share the word of God. And I praise him for that.
From Trinidad and Florida. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. So let's dive into the real heart of the matter that you all came here for. What are we considering in a property? And I'm going to post the link once again so that persons can join in. So persons that are joining us right now can ask their questions. So
we have persons still coming in.
Yeah, we have persons still joining in. So I am going to share in the chat. I'm going to just post in the chat the link so everybody can ask the question that is, so everybody can ask their questions. So feel free to use the link in the chat. I'm going to post the link right now, once again, so that persons can ask the questions that are on their heart to post. Okay? All right. So let's get back in. What to consider in a country property? What do we need to consider in a country property?
I got this one. The Lord desires his people to move into the country where they can settle on the land and raise their own fruits and vegetables, and where their children can be brought in direct contact with God, with the works of God in nature. Take your families away from the city is my message. So here, what I see is that the Lord desires us to move for one. We have to settle on the land, and we have to be able to grow fruits and vegetables.
Oh, wow.
So I think that the very first consideration is, can I grow food there?
Okay. Okay.
That cancels out Antarctica. That cancels out the North Pole, the South Pole.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a number of places. Well, I don't know how to do food there. I guess you can. If you're really rich and have a lot of money, I guess you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think there are many people to win there anyway. So yeah, but growing food is very important.
Okay.
Yeah. And if I remember, there's a quote that's in my mind right now about buying and selling. But I don't know. I think you have that down the line. Okay.
Another reason why we need to go out into the country is because we need to be brought up in contact with the works of God and nature.
Okay.
Okay. So that's another thing that we keep in mind for character building and growing our own food.
Okay. So whatever the place is, whatever my idea of country is, I have to be able to grow food.
Yeah.
And I have to be able to be in contact with nature. Now, in my perspective, how I see it as a person in nature, I see that I'm supposed to be surrounded with the things of God. When I look to my left, when I look to my right, when I look to my back, when I'm missing my front, I'm supposed to see nature.
Yeah.
That's my perspective.
Okay.
I take a walk, maybe I see a house, but just around my home, I see nature.
Okay. Another quote that we're going to consider in what we're going to be considering when we're going to look for a property is, again and again, the Lord has instructed that our people are to take their families away from the cities into the country where they can graze their own provisions, for in the future, the problem of buying and selling will be a very serious one. We should now begin to heed the instructions given us over and over again.
Okay, so this is our perspective. So here I see that it's not talking about a backyard garden.
Okay.
It's talking about growing enough food to sustain you. Because it says in the future, the problem of buying and selling is a very serious one. So I need to be able to have enough land that I can grow food in case I cannot go to the supermarket.
Yes, that's what I'm seeing here. So this is another thing that we consider. So, enough land to grow our food. So
if I have a 11,000 square foot of land, I have to be really good.
Intensify.
I have to be really intensive.
Yes.
To be able to grow enough food to sustain myself for unknown amount of time, but a period where I cannot buy anything and I cannot sell anything.
Very good. Another thing that we need to consider is get out of the cities into rural districts where the houses are not crowded closely together and where we will be free from the influence of enemies. So this is something else that we need to consider.
Well, this is in line with what I said earlier.
Yes.
Because here I was thinking that I want to look around and see nature, but here she's clearly saying that the houses can't be crowded. Because remember, initially God said that he wanted us to spread, fill. I could imagine that having houses crowded together is opportunity to just keep learning bad habits from each other.
Yeah.
If I can hear the neighbor quarreling, I'm most likely going to be quarreling with my wife as well.
Okay. So let us go into our list. What is that list that would help us? So we're walking onto our property like we saw in the picture earlier, and we're looking at the things. We want to look around. What are we looking for? I need to know so that I can choose and be led by God as the best suitable location for my family. So here is a list that we put together, and now we're going to go through them one by one. And like we said earlier, they won't necessarily be exhausted this evening, but we will be going into water sources and what you can do and the soil and different things as we continue in this seminar. So, soil for growing food.
Clean air, sorry.
Free from noise pollution.
A water source.
Space for growing provisions.
Accessibility.
Availability of utilities.
Out of the city.
All right. So, let's go into the air aspect. The air is pure and the water is pure. A beautiful stream runs right through our land from north to south. The stream is a treasure more valuable than gold or silver. The building sites are on fine elevation, excellent, and with excellent drainage. So we're looking at pure air first. What are some of the things that you notice in pure air that is going to really be of assistance as you go and look at a property? What are you looking for when you consider in pure air?
When I consider pure air, I look for trees for one, because trees have the ability to clean the air.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so then that's what I'm looking for. Pure air. I'm smelling the place.
All right. Okay. All right.
Smoke or if it's in a garbage bin.
Okay.
Because two things I've learned. You could hear further than you can see. When you're in nature, you could hear further than you can see, and you could smell further than you can see sometimes. Sometimes, I'm too far from you. All right, sometimes, in my observation, I can sometimes smell somebody away from me because they went, okay, I'm getting away from the point. It's okay. If they weren't colored or something, I can smell. So then, pure air would mean that when I inhale, there's this just charge I feel. Ooh. I don't feel restrained. You know, the air is nice and cool. I'm having fun. So then pure air means there are trees to clean out and clear the air, and that you're not downwind to a factory, garbage disposal site.
How do you know if you're downwind or not? How can you tell where the wind is coming from? Like, for example, in this picture.
Well, what I do is, this is a little survival trick, guys. You could just put your finger in your mouth or wet your finger. If you're more hygienic than me, you can wet your finger, and whichever side is cold.
So you just raise it up.
Yeah, you wet it, you raise it, yeah, whichever side is cold is where the wind is coming from.
All right, nice.
That's a little survival trick.
Okay.
All right, so then that's one way to know where the wind is coming from. After that, you could just go on Google Earth if you quite familiar with Google Earth, and you could look to see what is down in the direction that you saw.
Oh, wow.
So it's good to have a compass or a phone with an app that has a compass.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are some of the ways that we can know how we can find certain things about our property. I'm going to post in the chat the link once again so you can ask your questions. After. Okay. We're going to take the questions after. So I've already posted the link.
Well, I see how the
what do you see in this property that you're looking at right now? I see how
the air can be a problem.
Okay.
As much as we're looking for pure air, I see that this area has a lot of wind.
Okay.
If you look at the picture, you can see all the branches are everything is in this direction. So then this place have pure air because the wind moves the air around.
Okay.
However, it is very windy. So that's not a bad thing though.
Okay.
Being a windy place. However, when you build in your home or whatever you're building on the property, you have to take into consideration that the wind is very strong there.
Okay.
And the direction that the wind normally comes from. Okay. So then if I now go build a roof in this direction, when the wind is coming at me, then I am most likely going to have problems with my roof line up.
Okay.
On a regular basis, like without any storm or anything.
Okay. Yeah. So when we're taking into consideration where the wind is coming from, we need to take into consideration for building.
Yes.
All right.
And for not just building, whatever I try to grow, I would need, if I want to have a garden, I would need a windbreaker.
Okay.
So then I would need a line of trees, and then I would have to build a planter garden behind it because I need the trees to block
the wind
from throwing all my tomato trees down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, wow, this is a lot to consider. Where the wind is coming from when researching for a property.
As good as the air, yeah, you have to consider that.
Okay, what do you see in this particular picture as it pertains to the air?
Oh, you're speaking my brain. That's what you're doing.
I'm just finding out. What do you think?
I still see that this is a windswept place. I still see that. However, I have questions about the fertility. It could just be that it didn't plant trees.
Okay.
It could be that. But the amount of trees is kind of a problem for me. But I guess when I'm there, based on what the place is used for, then I would know why there aren't trees there. However, I don't see no leaves on a tree.
Okay.
So then this is something that I would make a mental note of. And maybe ask questions. Hey, those trees are leaning really hard. What's up with that?
Okay.
I wouldn't leave it open. I'm like, hey, I want to know. Okay. I'm about to make a big decision. What's that? Why are we, why is that happening? That's what I'll do.
One of the things that it brings out to me is that this looks like a place that I've seen on the coastline.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's open.
Yeah.
So that would also mean that further back in what we can't see doesn't have trees as well, because there's nothing protecting those trees.
Okay. So in looking for a property, that's something that we need to consider. So
we look for pure air. However, we need to consider.
Don't go too extreme.
Yeah. We need to don't go too extreme, but if you have a place with really nice pure air and windy too, then you need to consider it when you building and designing your property.
All right.
But that's not a no-no.
Okay.
You can't leave it. That's not a no-no.
Would you advise somebody who's unskilled to maybe live in this one or maybe that one?
That one looks kind of more. There's more trees, so that's a good sign. Okay. I love trees. Trees are resources. If you can't make lumber out of it, you can mulch it. Okay. So yeah.
Now let's look at the water source. Now, one of the things we read in the quote before, and I just pasted it back here, is that the water was compared to silver or gold.
I had a question when you posted that.
That's the value that she put on it.
But she said that it has a water source. My question, one of the questions, I would say that every place in the planet has a water source.
Wow. I want you to hold on to that thought. Hold on to that thought. Everywhere in the world has a water source.
Yes,
We'll find out. We've got to find out about this one. Okay, so when we hear pure water, everybody wants a water source. And everybody's looking for a river and everybody is looking for a stream. You said there's a water source everywhere. Let's hear it.
Okay. All right. The difference, however, is how readily available it is. Okay. So then some places you have to drill for the water.
Okay.
Some places you capture it in the air. Some places it only rains like once for the year and you have to really trap that water and let it percolate down into the ground and try to grow an ecosystem that can then have water flow. And I guess no, there's a slide about that.
Okay.
So we'll get to that.
So when we will be getting down to the details of these things, like we said earlier, but we're just doing with what you consider when you're just walking through your property.
Just off my head right now, I can remember there's a place in China that they greened the forest.
Wow.
The desert, sorry. It was desert and they green it by slowing down the water on the land and having it percolate into the ground.
Okay.
Australia as well. So
when we're looking at pure water, we're trying to find out, does the property have a water source like a river or a spring?
Yes. Before I change the slide, one thing I noticed though is that rivers, water sources sometimes can have too much minerals in them.
Okay.
So sometimes you'll see like calcification. There'll be this white mineral, I guess, deposit on the rocks. Wherever the water is passing would be white. There will be a lot of calcium deposit. So the water source needs to be tested to know if it's drinkable. I'll put it that way. Even if you have a property and has a water source, it needs to be drinkable. And if there's rain falling on your property, then you also have a water source as well. Okay. So water source doesn't necessarily be rivers. However, rivers are the easiest. They are the most ideal. They are the cheapest to get water from. Okay. So it will be my first choice. My first choice will be a river. However, it will not be my only choice. All right. So if I can't find a river, then I would seek to find something else that is beneficial.
Okay, awesome. So we're looking for the river. Sometimes we're checking to see what the water source is like. We're checking to see if there's calcification.
Or brook.
We're checking to see if there's calcification because we want to ensure that is it drinkable or is it not. When it has the calcification, it's not drinkable. No. It's hard water and not pure water. But that can be tested. But when you're just walking your property,
you're not necessarily
walk with the tester. But that's just one easy way to know if that pure water is drinkable.
But don't drink the water, guys. No. As much as the water can be drinkable, upstream could have some dead animals. You don't know. So don't drink the water unless you've done a proper investigation.
Okay. So another thing that we're going to look at when we considering a property is how steady is the flow. So you're just looking at it. You're not going to drink it. You're looking at how steady is the flow of that water. And if it's a property that you're considering for a long time, have you gone there when it rained a lot? Have you gone there when it's a little dry? If you're very interested, this can help you.
That's if you're lucky enough to find a property with water source.
Yes, that is like if you are.
Flowing water source.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want everybody to take a look at the picture.
I'm so sorry.
I want everybody to take a look at this picture. And when you look at this, let's say you're getting onto a property and you're getting to this particular point on the property and you see this water source. What is the first thing that comes to mind?
Gold and silver.
Okay, you see this and you see gold and silver.
I see the dark brown color. And the white foam on it, that's gold and silver. That's what she said, right?
All right. Flooding. Okay, somebody says flooding. Yeah, okay. What else do you see? You just looking, you walking on the property and the owner takes you and you stop and you see this part right here. What is the first thing that comes to mind? Pollution, okay. All right. Thinking it's flooded, a puddle, mosquitoes, very good. Mosquito sticks, wow. Yeah. I see mosquitoes, very good.
Can I add mine?
Where is it coming from? Wow, somebody said anaconda. on the stream. Wow. E. coli. Okay.
Clearly, I believe that the color of the water said that there is some disturbance upstream.
Yes.
In some disturbance.
Contamination.
Yeah. May not be contamination, could be like a landslide or something.
Mm-hmm.
But then I would need to investigate what is upstream, especially if higher of that property is still my property.
Okay.
I'd want to know, okay, why is this water this color?
Okay.
But if the water is pulling up this way, for sure it would attract mosquitoes, except if there is fish in there.
A volcanic hot spring.
That would be lucky you.
Wow.
That would be nice though.
Mm-hmm.
To get a volcanic hot spring, that would be nice.
The only thing is the soil around it would be a different color.
No, let's run with it.
Okay.
Let's run with it. If that was a volcanic hot spring, that is what do you call it? A revenue source. That is,
yes, it can
what do you call it? That is an industry.
Yes, a tadpole pool. Okay, so let us take a look at the video of around it so you guys can see for yourself.
The cause of the mosquitoes. That's why we have to have our netting on our faces. And rivers coming from up here.
Okay,
right.
So here we saw a little bit more of the detail.
Mm-hmm. So it's flowing.
So it's flowing.
Yes.
And that's a good sign.
Yes.
If I just saw that pool on its own without a flow coming into it,
I would think it was, yeah.
I would be a little bit skeptical.
Yeah, it looks like it was stagnant from the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And because I know I was there, the mosquitoes is something that we can deal with by adding fish to the water.
Okay.
So that's still not a turn off.
So the brown color in the water, what could that be a reason for? Though?
Most likely the place has clay.
Okay.
It has clay or it has a landslide upstream.
Ah, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that is something that we would have to consider.
Yes. However, I noticed the riverbed has a lot of rocks.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe it could have been a landslide or something upstream.
Okay, so that is something to be investigated.
That's right. Somebody also added water lilies filters the water.
Mm. Yeah. One of the things that I would find out is how deep is it? And is there some blockage preventing that water from continuing since there seemed to be a flow coming through there? Why isn't it flowing a little bit more solid coming down?
Well, that's a good thing, you know.
Okay.
The fact that the water is puddling, that means I have a source of water to water my garden. So I need a water pump to pump this water from wherever it is. Hopefully, if it is upstream, then I have to just use gravity flow.
Mm-hmm.
That is true as well. It could be the heavy rains before that caused the water to be brown as well. That is a good point. However, that is a collection point. That is a water tank I didn't buy.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it is. So even though we're seeing it right now as this may not be the best thing to see on your property, there are solutions that are beneficial to your farm.
This is a resource that needs care.
Okay.
Okay. It's abandoned. It's just out in nature. So nature doesn't care about the amount of mosquitoes around.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So let us go to our next video, which you're going to look at, and you're going to tell me, what do you think? I am just looking at the video and I see, wow, this is a beautiful water source right there. I'm excited.
That's it.
So I see this water coming down. Somebody takes me to see the property and I'm enjoying seeing this waterfall. In my mind, I have a water source.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go on a different day. And where is it? What happened? This is the same place.
Sorry, the snakes. Leave the snakes alone, guys.
Seasonal. Okay, very good.
That's what I noticed.
Very good. That could be a seasonal pool.
On the left, there is all the branches, all the leaves of the trees are wet.
Okay.
So then that water source, is still a resource.
Mm-hmm.
All I need to do is run pipes from there and collect it in some area.
Okay.
But I cannot depend on it because whenever the place gets dry, it
Yes.
either gets really small or it may dry up altogether.
Okay.
So yeah.
So like somebody is saying, it was raining the first time. Very
Yes.
good. It was actually raining that time we went there.
Mhm.
And that second time, no. So if you can notice, the trees are a bit greener. There is a lot more foliage next to it versus the other picture, which is a bit dry.
Yes.
So when you're going and look at a particular property and you notice that the foliage is very green or it's a rainy day and you notice that a stream or a spring is very low, the dry season may mean it may not exist.
Yeah.
So because it will lose its flow.
So then I can't put all my eggs in that water basket.
Yes.
I need another plant for my water. And we'll do that when we do water.
Yes. So when we're going to go into water, we're going to look more about that.
There's a presentation dedicated to water harvesting.
Okay. All right. So let's look at the soil.
All right.
An effort should be made to secure grounds away from the city where fruits and vegetables can be raised.
A lot of them.
Yes, because we realize that there's going to be a problem of buying and selling. And especially if I love fruits, I don't want to be without it.
So I want a lot of them.
Agriculture will open resources for self-support, and various other trades also could be learned.
Oh, nice.
So you're walking a property, somebody's taking you, and you notice the entire property, the grass does not even want to grow there. It's very scanty. The soil looks a bit yellowish brown. It's not fertile. Very good. You have to do some stuff to that.
Yeah, you have to work that.
You have to work it. It's not impossible, but you have to work it.
Yes.
So you're starting to see the coloring of the soil. The grass is looking like it's having a hard time.
It will help. It will love.
You could pass on a property like that unless you have the time to really work it and bring it back.
I wouldn't say pass on it though. I'd say know that if you were to buy that property, one of your highest priorities is growing that soil to a point where you can do stuff in it.
Okay.
And just a pointer there, I see a thing I can show. In the middle right of the screen, there's that leaf that when you touch it shuts. I think they call it merit. I'm so sorry.
No, that's not the name of it.
Sensitive plant. That's the name. Sensitive plant. Yeah, that was the good name. So that is a nitrogen fixer.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a nitrogen fixer. Just I saw that there.
So seeing a nitrogen fixer in the grass while you're looking at a property, you know this is something that happens.
It's helping solve a problem. So there's a nitrogen deficiency in that soil, and nature is putting nitrogen fixing plants to solve that problem.
Okay.
That's what I see. Yeah.
All right. So let's look at another picture. What do you think about this soil though? You walking the property, you scrape it out a little bit and you see this.
That looks good. I see organic matter. It's bare because it was disturbed.
Okay, you can see some disturbance.
The color of it says it's more fertile, but the fact that it's bare means somebody played in that.
Okay. All right. All right.
I can see that there's a lot of water in the area. That's the
water grass.
The water grass here. So
all
that
right.
place gets watered well. I see
loamy.
That as well.
Okay, loam. Okay, very good. So this is what you're looking for a loamy type of soil. You're looking for a soil that is not that you can pass your hand in.
Yeah, you can push your fingers through it.
You can push a cutlass in it and it shouldn't give you too much trouble.
Yeah.
So this is what you're looking for ideally.
Yes.
But what we're saying is you can get your soil to that point.
Yes. You just need to know what you get yourself into.
Yes.
I'm buying this property, not believing it is fertile when it's not.
Okay.
Or not believing it's unfertile when it is.
Okay.
I know what I'm getting into.
All right.
So I see the signs that it's not fertile in my plans. When I'm making my plans, that is something I'm planning for.
And I have to factor in the cost for getting it to a point where I want it to be.
Yes.
All right. So
however, this is something I know that I can consider in the purchase. Okay. So if somebody tell me that piece of soil, well, the one before was for $1 million, I'm like, bro, this is farmland.
Yeah.
Okay, I intend to farm on it.
And the grass is barely growing.
Yeah, the grass is not growing. You can't, no.
Exactly.
The price something needs to happen to the price. You understand?
The ground could be rocky as well.
Yes, as well. Yes.
And you may not necessarily know that by just looking at it. But when you see grass is a bit struggling to grow, especially for land that has been abandoned for some time, whenever you see grass is struggling, that there could be a lot of rocks under.
And the point of the rocks is that it doesn't allow for root growth.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's very necessary.
Okay, so this is another property we're going to look at. And this looks beautiful. All the
open
view,
savanna.
The open savanna. I'm just loving it. I'm getting a property like this.
That's not my first choice.
What?
That's not my, I don't know if it's because I'm from the Caribbean, but that looks good in a picture.
All right. I love what I'm seeing in the chat already. We have some good country liquors already. Yeah. No windbreakers. Yeah, wow.
That's a nice picture. But
okay.
I see a number of problems with that property.
Okay, what do you see here? Let us know. You can let us also know in the chat. What do you see looking at this property?
Yeah,
not too many trees. All right. I'm okay. All right. What else? Too exposed.
I agree.
Very good. Too much sun exposure.
Oh, you're baking that house for sure. Because there's no trees to cool down the air.
Water source. Yes. It could be something that we might have to question.
In a heavy shower, that place can flood.
Easy exposure to neighbors' privacy.
I could see somebody from binoculars on that mountain.
Yes.
Looking at everything you're doing. Yeah.
Sunburned plants.
Yes.
I will also question the fertility of the soil because I can count the number of trees I can see.
Not necessarily. No. Some of these savannas have had grass growing and dying and growing and dying and growing and dying for some time now.
Okay.
So it's possible that under this have nice soil, just doesn't have seeds from trees that they will grow. And some trees, if you cut it, it doesn't grow back.
Okay.
So at some point, way back, that could have been a place that was clear cut, and whatever species of trees that was there never grow back, or that can be a place that's overgrazed.
Okay.
So whatever tree tries to come up, it's been eaten. Or making it even worse, that could be a place that has a really bad dry season, and every time the dry season comes around, that place burns down, and the only thing that survives is that one tree.
That one tree. Okay.
But that's just judging from a picture.
Okay.
Now, on the good side, however, that place provides for cattle grazing.
Yes, somebody says that.
Yes, it provides for cattle grazing.
Very
good. It's a blank slate to start from. Has its own challenges, but like every property, it has its challenges. You would just start putting in trees without having to do the work of taking out trees.
Okay.
Because you could have a property that has a lot of trees, and the places that the trees are located, doesn't fit you, it doesn't fit your style, doesn't fit your plan. So this is a blank slate. But with a blank slate comes losses.
And you have to come up with the upfront cost.
Yes.
So if you're not looking to spend a lot into
drainage,
your property,
there's a lot to consider with this blank slate.
All right. So I love what we were seeing in the chat. Some person said it was suitable for grazing livestock.
Yes, it is.
Somebody was saying that if it's floods, the drainage, waterlogged maybe in rainy season.
All your plants will be doing you this, like the trees. All the plants with like, hey, help, please. So you need windbreakers for sure. Okay. Actually, that would be the first thing I'd do.
Add some windbreakers?
Yeah, if for whatever reason, as the place God provided me, I plant in the entire boundary. Before I plant one thing in the middle, I plant in the entire boundary of windbreakers.
Okay. So one of the other things that we see, there could be a lot of loss for water. So for example,
there's a lot of evaporation.
Yes. We see that there can be, you really would want to start swaling and start adding some windbreakers.
And rain harvesting devices.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So for sure, we would have to look at all of those things if we're going to consider a property like this.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I want everybody to keep in mind, every single property that you're looking at will take work.
Yeah, everything has an advantage.
Where would you want to put the work is the question.
Yes, everything has an advantage and a disadvantage.
Okay.
For sure, there's no that one tree you would never cut it. So then there's no way you're getting buds from that property.
But it's good for solar though.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Let me tell you, You are solar king if you live in a village. Let me tell you, there's no tree to shed the solar panel. You can put a solar panel anywhere. So yeah, so that's the good side to it.
Now, what about this property? If you were going to get both properties for the same price, which one would you consider? This one or the one before?
I like this one already because the trees are even, the grass is even taller.
This one, somebody says this one. Okay, this one, yeah. What property would you consider? You're getting this one, sorry, and you're getting this one for the same price. Okay, has windbreakers. I like that. Okay, some persons will consider this one.
Resources. I can see there's a gentle slope. I can see myself putting a pond down in the middle there.
All right.
With my house where I'm standing.
All right.
Where the road is.
Okay.
Trees. Yeah.
I love that the fact that there are trees not only for the windbreaker and for, but I'm seeing that we can use, yes, the privacy.
Yes. There's a diversity of plant species there.
Yes. So Sherry saying the organic matter.
Yes. Oh. You pass your lawnmower through this thing and let that grass drop down and rot.
Okay. All right.
That's fertility cycling back right into the soil.
Okay, there is shade. The shade is visible. Yes, there is.
I can just share my experience in construction. Many times I'm working in a place that was open like this, and every chance you get, you run for shade because the sun breaking down and there's nothing to pull down the wind. Let me tell you, even the wind is blowing.
Oh, so even when you're preparing your property, having a property like this and building a home on it, the builders and the contractors are running from it secretly for shade.
Periodically, we seeking shade. So we're less efficient.
Okay,
in our building. And you drink a lot of water today, that's for sure.
So for this one, we're seeing wood for fire. We're seeing wood. Maybe there are some fruit trees in
grasses
there.
For animals.
Somebody saying timber, very good. A good place to build a house, very good.
Yes, grass mulch, straw mulch. Yeah.
Anything else we're seeing in this property? I know it's just a picture.
Some of these trees may be fruit trees, I don't know.
One of the things that I'm looking at, I love to see the dark green in the trees.
So that means there most likely is a water source passing through there.
Yeah, there's a dark green that I see there. So firewood, I like that. So these are some of the things that we're seeing in a property. And I love that we're getting our eyes accustomed to seeing the things that we want to have on our properties.
There are evergreen trees that remain green all the time. However, these dark colors usually mean that there's a water source nearby, or there's dampness, or it's a runoff or something.
Yes, somebody was saying that there could be a water close by, or a lot of rain coming through there, a lot of space for a garden, maybe even a well. Very good, very good.
Yeah, I could see a pond going there.
Very good. Okay, so we're gonna look at another property.
Oh, that's some ambitious people, Mitra. That is clearly making the most of what you have.
Yes, it is.
Because that is what most people run away from. That's a hillside. And that's gorgeous.
I'm wow, that is a lot of work.
That's a lot of work, yes. Simply moving around I see they are smart. I see that all the roads are level.
Okay.
So they don't have to climb up and down to move around. So all the roads are level, so you can move around with ease. However, that is a very knowledgeable person that is taking something that most people would consider unworthy for growing food, but because they have a good eye for creativity and for hard work.
Yes. So I love what persons are saying in the chat. They see it's a slope, it's a nice terrace, but it's gonna take a lot of work.
A lot of work.
And so, for example, let's say a single person is calling us up and saying, "Hey, I would like you to come and see a property to give me some consultation." And I'd see that slope. I'd see that slope and I'd say, is it just you? If it is, that is a lot of work. It is a lot of work.
I would imagine that those persons may even have had to carry in some soil there.
Yes, to start with. Yeah. So every single time you take a look at a property, I love what our persons are seeing in the chat. Mudslides is something else that somebody would have to consider.
Depends
maybe
on the soil. If it's rocky, then that's the issue. But rocks still slide anyway. So
So all of these things are things that we need to consider. All right. Does the rain run off? You'd have to create some swales to slow down the water.
Well, the level footpath would function as swales.
All right. So let's go to maybe the worst of the worst. And I'm sure nobody's going to be looking for a property looking like that.
Looking like what is on the left?
What's on the left.
However,
and to take years to turn it into what is on the right.
So then I love this because it shows that with diligent effort, knowledgeably, you can rehabilitate damaged ecosystem. But it takes a lot of time and a lot of work. So is your level of determination, your creativity, and your knowledge that can get you back. I think I know this. I think this is the Sierra Plateau, I think in China, where they swelled an entire desert to get it to now have rivers and stuff going through it. Okay. So care for the soil can have us take property that most persons would disregard, or properties that you'd get for a very low price, and make it habitable.
All right.
But a lot of time and a lot of work.
Okay, so I'm happy that everybody can see that there is opportunity for turning particular locations that does not look favorable into favorable for at least after you put in a lot of work.
Yes. Okay? However, if you do not have the funds to buy the ideal location, then you should at least have the sweat equity. Sweat equity is something you get every time you eat a meal.
All right.
That's one financial resource that everyone has, especially those who don't have the money, the money in hand. You have the sweat equity. That's what we call it.
All right.
To take that abandoned place and make something out of it.
Now we're going to look at industry. You walk in your property, you've looked at the soil, you've looked at the water on it. Now what next? Is there industry? An effort should be made to secure grounds away from the city where fruits and vegetables can be raised. Agriculture will open resources for self-support, and various other trades could be learned.
So it's good to consider whether the property has some means already on it to earn some kind of income.
Yes.
Okay.
So what plants can you find? Is there a tree that is useful? This is nutmeg. So it comes out, I didn't have it in the shell, but it comes in a yellow shell, then it opens up and you get the seed.
So the red stuff is the maize. Yeah, and inside there is the nutmeg.
The nut, so you have to break that nut and then you get the nutmeg.
It's a spice.
Yes.
So I guess what you're showing is that the property can have, say, stuff like some tree growing on it that is marketable.
Yes.
Okay.
So that would be something that you can use right away. And the one thing you can consider, whatever tree you have in abundance on that property, have your agricultural officer, have somebody come in to take a look at it to let you know what is it used for. It could be a herb, it could be a medicine, and it can be harvested to be used. It can be used for something that would assist in the purposes of your growing your own food. So not growing your own food, but creating that industry that you can use.
Because there's an upfront cost to buying land. So if you could get a piece of property that can help in paying for itself, then the investment is more secure.
Something else that you can consider is planting crop that can grow quickly and can create industry for you.
Okay.
Papaya is one. Papaya you can plant in a good place.
If you have good soil,
abandon it and let it do its thing. And you can watch You could just watch it grow
Yeah.
and harvest it. So this is something else that you can
Yeah,
do.
it's a simple crop to get into. It doesn't require fertilization or anything, as long as the soil is of a certain standard.
Yes.
So then that's something that you don't have to be on the land, farming, planting, weeding all the time, in order to earn an income from it.
Yes. So you leave it, you get a place where you have them about 9 feet apart, because they have their branches that need to grow, and you grow that, and whatever else that's in your area. What you do, you get your soil tested. That is when you already own the property. What is the easiest thing to grow there? And you put it down first. While you're doing the other investigations of your property, you can have your industry already in place. It's
just a moral booster to see that, hey, I grew something.
Yes.
I think that's a very good initiative.
Believers who are now living in the cities will have to move to the country that they may save their children from ruin. Attention must be given to establishments of industries in which these families can find employment. So one of the things we have to consider, and this is where the accessibility comes from and your utilities comes from, you want to have some form of employment. You need to be able to access your property in and out, so that if you're doing some produce, you can drive in and out of your property to get your produce out to sell.
Or if you're in a place where you're keeping your previous job or whatever, you can still go to work.
Yes. So all of these things have to be taken into consideration. And honey is another thing that some persons can consider that can be a form of employment for you. So especially if you have a lot of trees already on your property.
Like flowers.
You just get your bees, you put them there and let them do their thing. You don't have to check them very often. And they bring a valuable resource to your property.
And they pollinate everything you plant.
Yes, they do.
And then so that your trees bear.
Yes. So this is us when we were making our product, Honey Bites, which is one of the things that we use to create the industry and for employment. So simple things like that, and we sell it with the comb. So it's honey with the comb. So we go straight into the hive, you get it straight out of the hive, and you get the comb. And many persons have never seen it, and many persons have never tasted it, to chew on it. So many persons just really love the experience. So this is something else that you can consider when you live in the country. There are many things that persons have never experienced that you may be taking for granted.
Creativity is your friend, that's what I say.
Yes, it is.
And I guess this would be for the brave among us.
Yes.
I could see many persons like, beg your pardon? No, I'm not into bees. And I remember our experience. My wife just told me, babe, somebody called me. They have a bees in a school. They need us to take it out. They contacted me. I'm like, babe, so why did they talk to you? She's like, they know where work have bees. So then she volunteered me and herself to go take out the bees. Luckily, we knew people that were into beekeeping. So we asked a couple questions. We borrowed some equipment and we went to check it out. And that's how we got into bees. Knowing nothing.
Yep.
After we got the bees, then we did all the research, watched all the videos, and we up to today we still have bees. Now people call us to take out bees from their homes.
So there are many things that you can consider as an industry. You just have to be creative. Open your eyes to whatever problems that is around you, and be okay with looking at it. Do I have the necessary skills to solve this problem? And later on in this seminar, you will be learning how to turn your skills into money. How can you use your skills?
Or skills you can acquire.
To gain an income. So you got to stay tuned. So the next thing we're going to consider when we're going to look at a property, we want to have the education aspect very forefront. We want a place that our children can grow up. Okay, so we're not looking for a cliffside. I have been shown that studying the agricultural line should be the ABC of the I have been shown that study in agricultural lines should be ABC and the educational work of our schools.
Should be the ABC,
The ABC, sorry.
and the educational lines. Yes.
So
what comes to mind, ABC is the foundation of language. So agriculture should be the reference point for teaching lessons and skills.
Yes. So when it comes to homeschooling, do not be afraid to get your children involved.
Or get your hands dirty.
In a good way. So whether it be picking the mangoes off the property or using the chainsaw or going into the bees, there's always something to allow the children to learn. And it's an experience. Allow them the experience to clear the property. To make a trail. And that is it.
The same timber.
Okay, so every opportunity is an opportunity to learn. And like Siobhan says, teach them how to make calls. And he stepped right into our energy.
It's amazing.
In our energy segment. We need to learn all of those aspects as well. I was impressed that this was just such a location for our school as we had been looking for. There was a large tract of land away from the city where we could have an abundance of water and wood and a helpful climate. So it is very, very important for us to have the resources, the wood, like we were saying, to make the calls.
Especially in cold countries. It would be so important to have wood that you can use to have a wood oven, a wood stove, or fireplace in the cold countries that you can have. It's not a gas expense every time for you to heat up your house. So then a place with trees is wonderful.
All right.
Not just for harvesting wood for lumber, but as a resource.
Okay. So
you don't have to mulch. You could mulch some of the trees to bring fertility back to the soil.
So almost at the questions time. Again and again, the Lord has instructed that our people are to take their families away from the cities into the country where they can raise their own provisions. For in the future, the problem of buying and selling will be a very serious one. We should now begin to heed the instructions given us over and over again. Get out of the cities into rural districts where the houses are not closely together, crowded closely together, and where we will be free from the interference of enemies.
And this is why we're here, Mitra. This is what this seminar is going to be about. So before we take the question, I say, guys, if you haven't missed any night, you should have missed tonight. Don't trust me. We have some various speakers coming in. It's going to be a blast. Trust me.
Okay, so thank you so very much. Now we are ready to take on your questions. So we're going to go into the
app, Brian.
The app for us to answer the questions. Okay. So I'll take the first question. My sister and I have been impressed and been looking into possibilities of country living, but we received E.G. White counsel. We reviewed E.G. White counseling about country living, but it seems like she discouraged congregating as family.
That's the new one. I have to look into that.
Huh?
That's the second time I think I heard that, but
Okay.
I haven't looked into that. I cannot see why though.
Should be
why
discouraged.
why it should be discouraged your family. I'll have to get back to it. Have you read that before?
No, I would have to have to look into it. So coming together with other families?
No, as a family, like brother and sister, I think.
Well, I'm guessing if they're not of the same faith,
or
and
maybe
they
not.
don't understand the
Yeah.
council.
Well, it's not guess.
Yeah.
We'll look into that.
Okay. What should I be looking for in looking for country land? Okay, I think we answered that. There are a lot of things to consider.
A lot to consider. However, the bottom line is the ability to grow food.
Yes.
And still be away from enemies,
Mm-hmm.
and be surrounded by nature, pure air. Did I miss anything?
Yes, pure air, your soil.
Yes, good soil. Well, I said ability to grow food.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, as far as what I've studied though, country living is more about,
Okay.
Country living is more about being able to grow food and being in a place that you get to grow spiritually.
Okay. All right. So somebody's saying, I think she's referring to the need to spread the gospel. We're not to just make SDA communities. That is very true. And in one of the sessions that we will be, yes, so, we're off grid, so you have to put the generator on to add some little more power here. One of the things that we understand is we need to evangelize. And one of the sessions that we will be having in this seminar is how can we go country living and do our evangelism. So this is one of the topics that we will be speaking about. And Back to Eden Lifestyle will be the ones speaking to us on that particular topic. One thing that we also going to be having is testimonies. You're going to hear our testimony. You're going to hear other families who've moved out into the country, their testimonies, and what experiences they have, what were their experiences when they moved, and what they think that they should do. I post the link again for persons who want to ask questions. So we're going back to our questions. I am still new to Canada, especially Southwestern Oriental. Where do I start? One of the things that I would say, whenever you're going country living, find out if there are other persons who have already moved out into the country in your area. So whether it be in your local church, a ministry close by, the district,
conference.
And sometimes if you can't find a church close by with others who have moved into the country, speak to the farmers.
Yes.
And persons who generally live in the country.
Rural, that's right. Yeah.
So they would give you a better understanding of what to expect in that area.
Because the thing about countryland is not always posted for sale on some sites or realtor. Sometimes farmers do word of mouth. Farmers are really simple people. And sometimes by word of mouth, they may let somebody know that they're willing to sell. And these are the opportunities that you need to be able to grab. So having your ears on the ground, speaking to many persons, never stopping, never giving up, always speaking to somebody like, hey, do you know anywhere? Well, I'm searching. This is my number. If you know anybody, have them call me. Just by doing that all the time, everywhere, eventually, you will make contact with somebody. Somebody will reach out to you.
Okay, so I will ask around some more. So one of the things that we're seeking to do, and I will be posting our Telegram group in the chat so that persons can network. So there are persons from all over the globe seeking to move into the country. And one of the beautiful things about it is God is our guide. He's our shepherd. He is the one that we're following. And he knows how best to put people together. He knows how best to to have you speak to the right person at the right time to help you in your journey.
I'm thinking hopefully this seminar is an answer to somebody's prayer.
I know it will be. By God's grace, He will use us to be. So this is one of the things that we will be sharing. I will be sharing it in the chat so that others that are country living, who want to go out into the country, especially at this point, can join the group. It will be a place where you can network, find other persons that you can speak to who may be in your area and country living and can help you to set up. Okay, next question. In my country, we have to pay property taxes. I am concerned about this when we cannot buy and sell. What advice do you have regarding this subject pertaining to land to buy?
Well, if you have to pay property taxes, well, some countries, farmlands, you don't pay property taxes. But if you have to pay property taxes, pay it up front, pay it before, pay in advance.
One of the things that I've noticed, do some research in your particular area, because
there are ways, that's continue.
One of the things that I've noticed in St. Lucia, the property taxes are usually on
mortgages,
the houses. So properties with houses, and I think that depending on the size and the valuation of the house, this is how your property tax is calculated.
Usually properties that have mortgages as well would have to pay property tax.
Okay, so you would have to do some more research, and we will also be doing some more research as well, because we have a seminar that we will be sharing on how to buy land. So whether it would just be some skills that you may learn on how to negotiate or just what to expect, we're going to have the financial aspects of that dealing with as well. So you pay up as upfront. And the thing is, I think the lesser it depends on the value of the property, the tax is much less.
But what I advise is be as knowledgeable on the subject as you possibly can be. So then every decision you make is a knowledgeable decision. Yeah, I'd say that.
Okay. Will the recording of the seminar be shared so we can replay it? Yes, it will be. It will be on our website. So let me post that in the chat.
I think everybody will have that by now, no?
Yes, it's narrowwaylife.com. Yeah, narrowwaylife.com. You go in there, and under the seminars, there would be country living. You'd have to register to enter into the country living area so that you can view the videos after. Okay, so as soon as they're available, we'll have them posted so persons can go and watch them after.
So they said they're in Texas and they can only pay for the current year. There must be a way around it. You could set up a bank account and have it direct transfer and the money goes. There's ways around it, guys.
I have to believe that, because the same God that asked us to go country living, he knew that was coming. He knew that was going to be an issue. So I'm sure he has somewhere in there that we may not have found as yet that we can solve that particular problem.
But just off of my head though, I can see how you could set up a bank account, have it direct transfer to do that, and it just goes through paying all the time.
Okay, that's something else to consider. Can one easily work land that is classified as nitrates vulnerable?
Can one easily work land that it comes to easily work? I don't think there's such a thing as easily work land though. All land should be tested. So you need to get a soil test. And after you get a soil test, you will be provided recommendations what you should do as your initial most important thing to do. Okay. So then with the soil test, whatever is too much of, whether it's too little of, you would be advised based on your soil test what you should do.
Okay. All right. If you don't have the material to test, how do you know if the water is drinkable?
If you do not have the material to test.
The calcification is one of the ways you can know if the water is, that tells you if the water is not good to drink.
If you don't know if the water is drinkable, one thing you can do is follow the water up. Follow the water upstream and you would see whatever is, where the water is coming from. because you would hate to see that nice little river on your property is somebody's drain upstream that they deposit all the, or there's some pig pen or something upstream. So one of the most important things to know if you should drink water. And even in survival, that's a rule. If you want to drink the water, follow upstream, see what is there, see if there's any dead animals, then you go back downstream and see and take your chances. But you know you're taking chances, however, you have an educated guess. But if you cannot test the water, take the water to somebody that can test it.
Yes, that's the safest route.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to give the survival ways of if you can.
No, that's survival.
No.
Yeah.
Survival is something completely.
You're just doing this to get to the next point, so that you could get help.
Yeah. So you don't want to use the
Yeah.
survival method to check to see if the water is drinkable. No. So
you want to leave that.
Yes.
I
I'd say take the test, and the visual signs is
unreliable.
Is the calcification, but that's still not like 100%.
Yeah.
There's the calcification. There's also
that's called
is the water flowing? Does it have a smell? But you don't use these things to know if you're gonna drink
as a permanent water source. No.
Okay. Yes, frogs and fish don't grow in contaminated water.
Yeah, but don't drink the water, guys. Get it tested. Know what you're getting yourself into before you start anything. However, rain harvesting, if you filter it, you're good.
Okay. Is long-term leasing a property an option if unavailable to purchase?
We advise to own our own property. Yes.
So it could be something that you can look into.
In the interim.
But
it's not a long-term plan.
I can see how the devil can use that.
Yes.
To our disadvantage. Yes. But like for us, we have been able to be living on a property for 7 years now, and we're not owners of the property.
However, we know it's temporary.
Yes. So, but we know it is a temporary arrangement. And even though the persons are 100% with that we can stay and they have no problem with us being there, we know that there's a certain comfort in owning your own land, and we do not know how difficult the future is going to be and who's going to change.
Or if you were to die, what would be the state of your family members? There are too many variables that are open. However, as a temporary solution, then I would say yes. Renting a piece of land or renting a country home or leasing a piece of land as a short-term plan, as a training ground. Yes, with inventory to buy, and that has to be written up in the contract. That can't be something we just think about and we hope they agree to. That's something, hey, I'm leasing this land and my intention is to buy it. However, I'm not in a financial position
right now.
However, I'm not in a financial position to buy, but I'm leasing it. And if you're lucky, if you're fortunate, then you could have that rental deposit go towards the payment on the purchase of that property. That would be ideal. But as a long-term plan, hey, I'm renting forever. No.
Yeah.
We're told we can own a piece of land. That's what she said.
How can I buy land to do country living in St. Lucia? Well, we assist families in purchasing land in St. Lucia. So one of the things that we will say is persons who are not citizens of St. Lucia, you would have to
I see what you're saying.
Get a license to do so. And that can come to like maybe $15,000 or so in legal and government taxes and stuff like that. Land in St. Lucia, dollar for dollar, is expensive, in my opinion. Right? To us, I find it's a bit pricey. So, and I think one of the reasons for that is because we have between Peters and lush soil, we're a tourist destination, a beautiful island paradise.
So paradise is expensive.
Yeah, paradise can be expensive. So when it comes to families who already live in St. Lucia or were born in St. Lucia, we advise that yes, you can always move back and purchase a property. But persons who don't, have citizenship. You can, but there's an additional license cost.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you suggest for singles who want to move into the country?
Oh, somebody can live.
I suggest the solution that we propose as a ministry. We help families to purchase land together.
Yeah.
And ideally, what we would like is when the ministry is grown and matured enough to be able to purchase land, have it partition into lots, build the homes on it, because my husband is a contractor. So he can build the homes already on it. So when it's sold, persons already have a country living location and a home so that they can move into it.
And that would be especially for persons that do not have building skills.
Yes.
So they can move and be country living right away.
Yes. So for singles, so for example, we were assisting some families to move onto a particular property, and I think there's like one single amount those families. Yeah. And so she knows that there are the families around her, families with children and so on.
So say there's a 12-acre property, the families come together, they buy the 12-acre property, they own parts of the property that they can choose to keep together as one unit, which I don't advise, or they can then cut it up into separate lots that every person has their own piece of land.
Yes. So
which I believe is ideal.
Yeah. So what we do, we assist families in the partitioning process and developing the road so each family can have their access road. So I would advise for singles to be part of such communities so that you know that there are families close by and there's a support group willing to assist you in in the development of the property.
Yeah, I think that would be ideal.
So next question, what things do you need to acquire so we can gather now when we see them? What things should you acquire as you go into the country living experience?
I said tools.
Tools?
Yeah, that's it.
But it depends on your skill level and your location. We're going to have a presentation on that. That presentation is named What Do I Do? I have my property, then what next?
What next? Yes.
So in that particular presentation, we're going to go in depth with that particular question. So we can give you the details of what things do you actually need. If I'm going to get some tools, what are the tools that I would need?
Based on my surroundings, climates, whatever. Yeah.
So we'll be going in depth with this one. What kind of crop can be grown in clay soil? That's a reddish soil. And how can I transform it?
That's a separate session, but you could grow food in nearly to almost any kind of soil.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. You can grow food in any soil. No matter what soil you have, trust me, there is some plant that can grow there without your help. However, to grow fruits and vegetables, then there's stuff you need to do. But I'll say, come to the class. Yes. That is something we're going in depth. I don't want to give you a surface response. That's something we're going in depth.
Yes, we have an entire session on soil.
Yes, how do you grow fertility? What's it called? I can't remember. How do you grow fertile soil? That's what it's called.
Okay. I have my own home and would like to move. I have access to family land, but as an SD, I don't want to go that way. I don't really know where to start. This is one of the situations that we found ourselves in. We're actually on family land and
at our own home though.
Yeah, and they're not Seventh-day Adventists, but they have allowed us to be here for the period of time that we have been here.
We never stop praying that God provide us our own place.
But one of the things that I would say, I preferred being here for the 7 years that we were and learn the things that we learned.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So that we can, when we now have our own, we know what to do and how to do it.
And we don't have to repeat the mistakes
that we made.
Like we've learned, let me tell you, that's been a very big learning experience for us.
Yes, it has.
So now we can share.
That is one of the things that you have to consider.
Yeah.
The only thing is you're going to be starting afresh, like with us. when we have our property that that we own,
It
we
depends
would
on
have to
where.
be starting.
Well, we would have to.
Yeah,
do,
we
but-
would have to be starting afresh on a new
But
property.
that's not a problem for us.
Yeah. So consider it, take it to God in prayer, of course,
That's the first.
and that's with every single question.
Mhm.
And have that discussion with him, because he could have had it for you to be there for a particular period of time, and at that place, that is where you find your own property.
Yeah, but depending on how many generations down you are as inheritor of that property, it might be possible to get part of it partitioned.
Okay.
Yeah, if you far down, it's way more expensive. Yeah, but it might be possible to get it right.
Okay. Is there a cost for consultation in the country living process, like what type of land, house, and build, etc.? Okay, well, on our website, we have a consultation form. You can fill it out. So we can better assist you with what do you actually need, because all consultations are different. With some of the consultations that we do, we visit the properties and we see. So persons are buying a property and they just want us to come in to see the particular properties that they're buying.
Or some people just want to bounce their ideas over somebody that's gone before. Yeah.
So visit our website. We can give you a little bit more details as it pertains to the consultation that we do, as it pertains to the country living process. So we'll get to know exactly where you are in that process, and we'll be able to tailor that for you. What are some of the great startup crops for sustainability in the Caribbean?
Startup crops for sustainability in the Caribbean. Now, I looking at a question. The question can either be on a fertility question or what do you call it? Sales and marketing perspective. So, startup crops is vegetables.
Well, it depends. If you're looking for vegetables, my startup crop, I would love crops that I can put and leave.
That will not be startup, love.
Not a startup?
No, that's not startup. Startup crop has to be something that you plant and harvest. You grow it and harvest it right away.
Radishes really do well.
Nah, I would think the seven, there's a drive-in solution to do the 7 crops program. Okay. That is 7 crops that guaranteed you can sell them in Senegal, because actually the government wants to stop importing it. If I remember off my head, that is I'm trying to search pineapple, watermelon, well, all the melons, pineapple, cabbages. Help me out, love. You did the same course I did.
Watermelon, cabbages, cantaloupe.
Yes, that's all.
Pineapple, tomatoes,
bell peppers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a 7 crops program. I mean, every country might have their own thing, but in Senegal, there are 7 crops that we just try to not import. Because we import way too much of it.
Especially if that person is considering for income.
Yes.
For income,
so then, so if you get into those crops, guaranteed you could sell them. The other thing too is if you could produce the same crop other people are growing within the time that they were not growing it. Okay. So if everybody's growing cabbages in September and you can grow cabbages in January, then you have your market. So that's stuff you could consider.
Okay, so winding down, do you recommend a yacht to live in the Caribbean?
A yacht? That's a yacht. I know. The yacht is the word.
Yacht, sorry.
Yeah, yacht is the word. I would not recommend a yacht in the Caribbean. I would be sorry. It's nice. It's cute.
Yes, it's
cute, but it has a security problem that I have a problem with. I can enter your house with a razor blade. I don't really.
Yeah. Not necessarily just security. I look at hurricanes.
Yes, that's true.
I look at
the Caribbean
fallen trees.
Yeah. You have,
I think I'd want something a bit more structured.
It's a really nice tent. That's how I see it.
It's a good starter.
Yes. So a yacht would be a wonderful thing to put on a property that is not married to a location. So then in your investigative parts, whilst you want to spend longer hours investigating your property, drawing up your plans, assessing the site, a yacht would be a wonderful, quick setup building that can allow you to be on your property for long periods of time to observe it.
So that particular presentation is going to deal with, I've just got my property, what do I do next? And as you heard my husband saying, there is a point of studying the land where you would want to stay on it for long periods. So this is where most persons just come to the property every day, but some persons want to actually spend a longer time on the property. So a yurt or a tent would do well in that particular period.
It just could be just outside of our culture. It's not.
Well, I think you can probably build it for the Caribbean.
I've never seen one down here. I'll say that. Have you?
No, I'm just concerned with the structure.
I like it though. It's cute.
Yeah,
it's cute. But I don't think I will stand the hurricanes.
That's my only question.
Yeah.
Okay, share some mistakes you made and pitfalls you can avoid. The mistakes that we made.
Why is somebody asking such a question? I know I'm gonna get thrown under the bus now.
No.
Mistakes we made. Not having a big plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, having small plans,
but not the
big plan. That's one mistake we made, and we end up having to break down and redo stuff.
Yeah.
So we'd build something one place. I'm like, babe,
we can shift that.
I think it would do better if it was over there instead. Yeah. And then we would have to break it down, which would be like a total waste. Well, it would be a nice learning experience, but it would be a waste of time where you could have have a bigger plan, and you fit everything into your love. They ask me questions about future classes.
Yes, they are asking questions about our future classes. So you're gonna get a little bit more in depth about the mistakes and the pitfalls as well as we share our testimony. I have land, but how does one transition from corporate job to country on barren land? What do I do first? From corporate job to country on barren land, what do I do first?
That's quite a leap. That's quite a leap.
I love it though. And listen to one of the things that we do as a ministry, we help families link with families. So for example, there are families who may not necessarily have country property, but they have the skills. So like I've told a lot of families who are still in the corporate world and they don't see themselves coming out very soon, but they already have their land. There are families that would work your land for you. You can probably sell them an acre for a reasonable price, lease the land to them, or
have a good contract,
write up something and have the particular families take care of that land for you, or you hire a farmer to do so for you. And that becomes one way to start seeing your barren land become a fertile farm.
Yeah, but disclaimer, it would have to be something that you both benefit.
Yes.
It can't be a contract where, I'm getting all this work and eventually this person loses everything. It has to be something where both persons can get to own their piece of land, but with them providing you labor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you advise someone who is interested in doing country living but has no form of income?
Get one.
Let me give you I can't wait to share our testimony. I cannot wait to share our testimony. We had, that's how you do zero when we started our first country living experience. So God, this one, let me tell you, he knows how to provide. So yes, of course, you would need a form of income.
Yes.
But if God is asking you to move out into the country and it's impressed on your heart and he's going to open up the ways for you to do so, allow him to show you the opportunities where you can find maybe an employment in that country living space that he's going to provide.
On your life.
Yes. Okay, should I sell my city property to buy a country property to take a mortgage on the city? Okay, wow, okay. Should I sell my city property to buy a country property or take a mortgage on the city property and buy a country property and invest the balance in the development of it?
Sounds like a person know what they want to do already.
Yeah, now that one is a personal one. You go to God for that one.
Every situation.
And yeah, and it depends on the situation. So a consultation might be a better way to answer that particular question.
The only thing that comes to mind right away is what happens in the interim. Sorry. While that property is being sold, where do you live?
Sorry about that. So, we have insects in the house. Sorry. But it's jumping in my hair.
You can't do that on camera.
I have access to family land that I've started cultivating. I would also like to build a cottage there to eventually put the support, but the support is very little. I still won't let that discourage you. Amen. Amen. Whatever God provides, guys, is what we work with. We never saw ourselves owning our own property, especially for our limited income. And God was able to provide. So I want to let you know that God will provide as long as we follow his leading in this walk. His will, his bill. Let me tell you, it is. So we're about to close off, but I want to let you know what you're going to expect. I want every single one of you to go and log into our website and register for you to get the recording. So as soon as they become available, I'm going to type our website in the chat once again. And I want you to go in there and register, get your own account so you can log into the country living aspect of the website. It's a work in progress, so I'm going to try to see if I can add a comment section so that persons can ask their questions, especially those that were not present to ask their own questions. She made the website. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. So what we're going to be experiencing next time tomorrow, we have a special guest. And I'm excited already. So am I. He will be sharing with us how to get out of debt. So all the financial questions that you have as it pertains to getting out of debt. Or the mortgage question. Or the mortgage question to see how you can. Okay, so where do you go on the website? You can go to the seminars section. It's on seminars at the top in the menu. Yeah, and country living, yes. I guess somebody's in it now. Okay, so all the questions, persons, if you sent in a question and you didn't get a response, what you can do is go onto our website, get onto the contact us section, and then we can give you a more detailed answer to your question based on your circumstances. However, in regards to the mortgage question, tomorrow we'll have somebody that is versed and skilled in that aspect. Speaking on getting out of debt. Yes, and they will be able to answer the financial questions. Okay, so just to let you know, his name is Mr. Gilbert Jeffersois, and I'm excited to hear him tomorrow. He has a book on getting out of debt. So this is not the first for him. He has been a teacher in our primary schools. He also has an institute. He's a treasurer at our SDA Eastern Conference. So he is well versed to be speaking to us tomorrow. And I am excited. Let me just share one of my experiences with him. I remember when I spoke to him, one of the times we spoke, he told me that he bought property for free. And I remember he said he bought some property and then he sold part of it. And in selling parts of it, he was able to recoup the cost of buying the property. So he's a wise guy. Yeah. So whenever it comes to getting out of debt and helping you with some of the financial questions that you may have, you've got to come tomorrow. If you want to miss. You have to miss today. You should have missed today. You should have missed today. You can't afford to miss tomorrow. Yeah. So for those who did not get all of your question answered, you can go onto our website and we will be dealing with your questions here. Okay. So the next set of series, you were going to be having water management. soil fertility, how to make money in the country, aquaponics, and for females, how can what do we have? Is it only the soil that we can make our finances? I say no, there are other ways that we can use our skills for an income.
It's not only us speaking, guys. We have guest speakers, people that have been in ministry for years, people that are self-supported. It's not only information from us.
Yes, you will be getting from many other ministries as well. So you've got to be here tomorrow. Log in, register, and for those, you can share the link with your friends, especially the ones that you find are pertinent to their specific questions. Feel free to share. So, yes, they are. So at this moment, I want to thank you everyone for joining us once again. We want to thank you for logging in, for registering, for asking the questions. And right now, we want to thank you once again for joining us. Our website is narrowalife.com. Our email address is narrowalife@gmail.com. And you can donate if you so decide on Cash App or PayPal. Our donation link is on our website. Thank you so much for joining us. At this moment, we are going to say a prayer that God would be with every single one of us as we seek to make this journey into the country.
Back to nature.
Back to the original.
Back to the land.
Okay. And then we're gonna just take some time to network after. For those who could stay a little bit while longer, we'll be on and we can chat a little bit. So let's bow our heads so that we can pray.
Father, I just want to thank you for yet another opportunity, Lord, that we get to come before you. Thank you for this session, Lord. We all learned a lot. Not only those who are listening, but Lord, even us as sharers. There's so much information in the chat that persons are knowledgeable, Lord. As we come together, as we learn from each other, Lord, help us glorify you, Lord. Our desire is to set a standard in this earth, Lord, that persons will see that your way of living, your standards, Lord, are better than the ways of the world. Help us to uphold your standards, Lord, that not only will persons love you as Christ, but they'll also love the Christians, the ones who follow after you. The life we live, Lord, will be a living example that we've been with you. This is our prayer. Transform us even now as we seek to draw closer to you, as we seek to obey your instructions. Transform our lives. So eventually, Lord, when you come, you'll say unto us, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Not us alone, Lord, but those who would have won to you as well. May it all be said, well done unto us. In my prayer. Amen.
Amen, amen, amen. So let me stop the recording. What do you stop the recording? Okay, so.
You get it.
Just give me one moment, guys.
You can't do that.
How do you? Lord. Thank you once again for joining us, everyone.
That's right. More. That's right.
More.